Hello and welcome to another episode of Advancio Talk, right here out of ITC in Las Vegas. Beautiful Las Vegas. We're here with my friend Farooq Sheikh. Hi, Farooq.
Hey Kareem, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. What a long couple of days, hasn't it?
It's getting tiring. It's getting tiring, right? Like everyone's like dying down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's actually good now. Finally, we can sit down and talk. We've been doing this earlier.
It's nice to sit down. It is very nice to sit down, definitely.
Well, very good to have you here, my friend. Farooq, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Perfect. I lead insurance for Uncork, which is a no-code platform. I spent my life in financial services and technology, and broadly increasing amount of technology focus. So very happy to be here at InsurTech Connect, and very good to be chatting with you.
Well, happy to have you here. And Farooq, how much of a geek are you?
Quite a big geek, right? So if you think about it, my background, I started off as an actuary on the quantitative side. I did a number of very geeky, in the mathematical sense of the word, insurance sense of the word, functions, and then have become an even bigger geek with technology. So I don't think you can become a bigger geek than me, because I have both the insurance and mathematic background, and then the technology focus. So yeah, this is it. There's no.
That's why you're a super geek.
Exactly. This is very much in the super geek territory.
So talking about geekiness, insurance is one of the industries that is less described as geeky at all when it comes to technology. The last 20 years have been quite revolutionary in the life of insurance, in pretty much all verticals. But particularly the last 3 or 4 have been kind of like transformational stories. What's your take on that? What's driving all the rate?
It's actually quite interesting, right? So insurance for a long time kind of said, we are different, don't bother us, we are going to go stay in the corner, and that's kind of it. And really, I think in the last 3 to 5 years, as you said, all this changes and trends in the technology, in the consumer technology side, really started coming back, because it wasn't the insurers who said we need to transform. It was actually the consumers. And they kind of started to bridge the gap of, like, if I can deal with, my banks or my, retail companies or my online delivery companies, every other part of my life in a digital and a mobile way, why is it that the insurance part of my life still has this paper applications and expensive, and nobody really wanted to engage with it to begin with, but it's become this very obvious thing that's something to be fixed, right?
So it's driven by the demographics. I totally agree with you. I think it's the consumer demographic that's really driving this need for change. We also have the employee demographics. All these insurance companies now have this young workforce that they themselves are clients, and now they're in a position where they can do something about it, right? And then you get all these early millennials as ourselves, trying to push this effort and helping these companies come to the 21st century.
I'm also one part of it, frankly, is that insurance was always in the kind of landline generation, so to speak, or even before that, right? And so they're kind of skipping a few technologies to get directly to the 5G kind of bit, right? So that's kind of a little bit of a shock to the system, and insurers are still dealing with that. But it's also kind of nice to see that they're able to do that with the newest technology.
So what you're saying is that whatever generation got to establish the norms, those norms stayed until that generation exited and retired.
They didn't do anything and didn't want to do anything and couldn't do anything for a long time. And then now we're at InsurTech Connect, where you have insurance and technology coming together, and they're finding ways and paths for the industry to come together and to move forward. I think that's a very nice kind of turn of events.
So talking about this event, AI is like the buzzword. I mean, I even thought I was going to say Advancio.ai, Kareem.ai.
You should do that. Everything should be AI.
Farooq.ai.
Yeah.
What's driving this AI surge, I would say?
It's actually quite interesting, right? There's been a very significant amount of interest in AI and insurance. In fact, one of the statistics I read is that insurance interest, not adoption, but interest in AI is actually higher than many other similar industries, banking being one example, which is a weird and rare thing, right? Like banking tends to be more at the forefront of adoption, and insurance like is typically 5 years behind. So this cognitive automation or generative AI, whichever way you want to think about it, this area seems to have captured the imagination a little bit more than any other technology, right? Like so, for example, crypto or blockchain or IoT, a lot of these um, technologies kind of passed by insurance, right? Like nobody really kind of thought about like, hey, how do we think about it? But like this whole cognitive automation, Gen AI play has picked, and maybe it's a function of like we have a lot of, it's a use case rich environment for the kind of things that Gen AI can do, but it's also a little bit of this like interest and excitement of an technology that can apply across every area of the value chain, right? It's like probably one of the few technologies that can.
I agree. That is something new. AI, well, it's not a new concept. It's been here since what, the 60s, 70s. Like ML's been here for late 90s. It's
But it was very
well
data
adapted,
science.
right?
Yeah, it's very data science centric, right?
Right.
And less like broad.
And it was more back end. It was more about understanding your data, building better products, maybe detecting or analyzing fraud so you can readjust your underwriting guidelines.
And AI, just kind of sorry to interrupt you, but AI also does very well when you have a very high amount of data, right? In insurance, if you think about it, like many lines don't have that. Like it's not a transaction-rich environment to begin with, right? So you see a lot more traditional AI applications in retail, right? In the technology industry, in terms of marketing and funnel management kind of capabilities. But if you have a small number of policies, or like not millions of policies that you're selling every month, or you're not kind of, the customers are not engaging with you with that frequency, traditional AI doesn't really benefit you.
Well, this is the key word, right? Customers are not transacting with you on a daily basis, right? I think customer really drives the new Gen AI adoption, because now you're applying AI to actually customer experience.
That's right.
Which is, I mean, even analyzing leads from the lead gen side all the way up to like issuing the policy. So that's something that is new, that hasn't been there before. And I think it's only going to encourage carriers and GAs to be a little bit more adventurous with using AI.
It's fascinating right now, right? Like in the amount of interest across marketing kind of areas you mentioned, um, engagement, sentiment, empathy, and then kind of those areas, as well as productivity is a big area, both technology and business productivity, and then just process digitization. It's applying everywhere.
So, as an IT consulting firm, right, we always have to think about the next best thing and be there for our clients before it comes out. One thing that's dear to my heart is, I keep thinking about, right, how do I disrupt from within? How do we disrupt our ISI business? I think two key elements are going to be key. Number one is AI. There's no coming back. The genie's out of the bottle. We're not bringing it. The second one is the low-code revolution. Can you tell me, from somebody who's actually very involved in that space, what the next SI company will look like?
It's a very good question, right? Like I almost feel like there's two types of SI structures or profiles that we're emerging. There's like the big SIs, the volume based, offshore, onshore, like large IT outsourcing or app maintenance type of work, right? Like that's a people problem, so forth, right? Like people and
it's a staffing business.
Yeah, staffing business, large quantity and that kind of thing. And there's another model which is emerging, which I really like, which is the AI and engineering first, right? Because there's a richness of areas where cloud adoption, generative AI, POCs and productization, data and data engineering kind of frameworks, context setting in the context of AI and AI utilization. Like these are the kind of use cases that it's difficult for insurers or any company to learn at the pace at which the technology is moving. So there is a skill set there of AI first engineering SIs that I think are going to become bigger and bigger, especially as the Gen AI economy develops. Right, that's kind of where
and that's the way that's the SI of the future, in my opinion, because now you have you have a value proposition. It's not a cost proposition. And then when you're dealing with people, it's really just a numbers game. Whereas when you're dealing with knowledge, it's the quality of that knowledge.
And it also is a little bit more, rather than maintaining the status quo, which is what you end up doing in a traditional SI, or adding to the problem, so to speak, in terms of the inability to change, right? The AI first engineering SI is becoming part of the solution, which I think is the big change here, right? Like you're no longer the, you know, bad process and bad kind of outcomes. You're more in the let's digitize and transform and simplify, right? Like that to me is the big delta.
You're right. You're less worried about fixing the outcome. You're more worried about designing a new outcome, which are two completely different things. Farooq, fascinating conversation. Just last golden nuggets from these couple of days here at the convention. What would you like our audience, who might not be very insurance savvy, but definitely geeky, what would you like them to know about insurance and technology?
I think I honestly think that there's a lot more of folks from technology and the skill set and capabilities in technology that can be applied to insurance. I think there's an opportunity to learn, to experiment, to develop the insurance technology ecosystems of the future. And I do think that requires the engagement of the broader technology universe, like from the range of vendors we have here to, you know, all the machine learning and AI and data science folks. So I do think, like, don't be scared of insurance, so to speak, right? Like it's insurance needs you more than you think, and that's my advice.
Well, words of wisdom, Farooq. It's great having you here.
Likewise,
Thanks for stopping by.
always a pleasure.
And thank you all for being with us. As always, share, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.